Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and in this episode, we're going to talk about fleets. I'm going to be ranking the fleets from the worst fleet in the game to the best fleet in the game. We're going to be taking into consideration whether or not the actual ships that you use to make up that fleet will stick with that ship or whether they're going to move to another fleet, and then we'll also kind of look at how those fleets interact with other ones in the game. So if you guys haven't already, take a minute, smash that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you're really interested, I have a Discord server. The link is in my channel description. So let's get into it and let's look at how I'm ranking these fleets. So the worst fleet in the game, in my opinion, is the Endurance, right? This fleet is just, all of these ships get taken by the Negotiator. I even think this capital ship just has the worst interaction with the actual ships in its fleet. And I think that it's really not worth investing any good resources into this ship because we're just going to replace it with Negotiator and really never use it again. Just do not do anything with that fleet. Our regularly scheduled reminder that Wampa is king. All right, so next is Tarkin. So I have him only with Empire, and this is more so because in the end game, you're only ever going to use this ship with the Empire, or you're not going to use it because you're using Empire with Thrawn. Early on, this is a great ship. It just loses its value because you're going to take away the things that make it great and move them to better fleets. So in my opinion, this is one of those ships that it serves a purpose, but unfortunately, as we move through the game, it just loses its value. Actually, I skipped Admiral Holdo here. So Admiral Holdo is actually worse than Tarkin. It's called No Alternatives. I don't even have this fleet yet, but she just is a lot, when I say no alternatives, you don't have another Resistance fleet commander, so you just have to use her, right? That is the only option, is Holdo for the Resistance fleet. So it's not really a great fleet. You rarely ever see people use it as a first-time fleet. A lot of times it's a cleanup fleet, so it just doesn't have the same value that a lot of these other fleets do. Then Tarkin, I have Tarkin a step, above her, right? I do want to make sure I correct myself here. Tarkin is better than Holdo because we can use other ships with Grand Moff Tarkin and still get some use out of them. All right, so next we have the First Order with Hux. I have them listed as useful, and I want to note why they're just called useful is that there are certain fleets that the First Order really struggles against, right? Thinking of the Malevolence, the Negotiator, and Profundity are all fleets that they really struggle against. And then even Empire with the TIE Interceptor, this fleet can struggle against. Now this fleet does counter, with right relic levels and some RNG at times, this fleet will counter Executor, which is fantastic. But because that is not always because of some of the additional investment you need in it, and because that's not always 100% counter, I don't want to put it any higher on the list than useful, right? That this is a great fleet, but it's not one that's going to take your, when you get it, all of a sudden you're rocking and rolling, right? There's still more steps to do. All right, so then we have Admiral Akbar here. So I personally think that Rebels are a better fleet than the Finalizer, than First Order, right? Even before Profundity, right? So this, Admiral Akbar will be replaced by Profundity, but up until that point, he's a fantastic fleet commander. The Rebels do a lot of really good work. So in my personal opinion, it's worth investing in his ship because normally Profundity is going to take you a long time, and so it's worth to have that Rebel ship with some of those levels, so that way you can use the Rebel fleets that Rebel ships you're going to be investing in to get the Profundity. All right, next is Grand Admiral Thrawn and his Chimera. And I'm actually going to click into it because the Chimera is probably the most versatile fleet. This is the only ship in the game, I would say, that you can basically put anybody with and they have some way of being useful, right? So we have a heal on his special here. All allies are gaining critical damage, doubled for Empire. And then this ability here, we can increase the cooldown, eliminate the target enemy, and they gain, the target ally gains 100%, health and protection. So this ship is probably the best overall, home for any ship that you don't know where to put it. the Chimera is normally a great place. However, I use it for endgame with my Empire fleet. I just really like the way it interacts. I think it has good survivability. All right, so I cannot believe I am saying this, but in the year, 2022, month of October, the Negotiator is probably the fourth best fleet in this game. This ship, if you take out Executor and you take out Profundity, and they never existed, this is the best ship. The problem is those other two fleets exist, and the Negotiator struggles heavily at countering those fleets. Like it just is with, Executor, you need a very specific lineup, some good RNG, and you're taking away Sunfac from your Separatist fleet. So, a lot of things that could go wrong there. And it's just a fleet that I think has unfortunately lost some of that inherent value because of all those high-end ships that came into the game, and that he just, unfortunately, General Kenobi just cannot counter those with his Negotiator. General Grievous Malevolence moves into third, and it just pains me to say this, but this is because it somehow counters everything. This fleet can, with the right lineup, counters the counters Negotiator, right? It can beat the Negotiator. But with the right lineup, it'll beat the Executor, right? It can be dicey, but you can absolutely clean up the Executor. And then, on top of that, you can also use this with the right lineup to beat, you can use it to beat the Profundity. And so now this fleet just, has gained so much more value because we can use it to take out those top tier fleets when necessary, comparative to the Negotiator that just struggles against them. So I think, unfortunately, I know we love, the Negotiator, and I even think Negotiator is still a better first farm than the Malevolence, only because you're not going to be seeing those fleets early on in the game, and Negotiator is not only a Galactic Legend requirement, but it's going to be the ship we use to get General Skywalker. So, still think we need to farm Negotiator first, but in the end game, I think the Malevolence just has a lot more versatility than Negotiator. Alright, number 2 is the Executor fleet. Obviously, until Profundity, this ship ruled the world. The one thing I love about this fleet, I will say, is that it's basically all driven by bounty hunters. So you're not stealing ships from other fleets like factions, right? Like this just takes those bounty hunters that you might be using in this squad or this squad, right? And taking them out. So maybe a fleet loses Houndstooth, IG 2000 isn't with General Grievous anymore, but overall, this ship is just so dang good. It can beat the Profundity, right? I do want to note that it can beat Profundity. And I actually think defensively, this ship is maybe a little bit better than Profundity. Just maybe a little bit, I would say. However, offensively, definitely not as good as the Profundity. I think the Profundity not only just wipes the floor with Executors, right? Because this ship can lose to Profundity on offense, and it can lose to itself in a mirror on offense. The Profundity will very rarely lose to a Executor on offense. It just is that much of a better ship. Which means, obviously, that our Profundity is number 1. This is the latest and greatest fleet. The reason it's number 1 is because you only need 3 ships to beat an Executor. Right? You literally need 3 ships and you will beat an Executor fleet. So I just really think that this fleet is the new thing. It's here to stay. It does take Rebels away from the Home 1, which is a shame, right? Because the Rogue One, or the Home 1 is such a great ship, but unfortunately, Profundity just is that much better. And I am curious to see what the future holds for fleets, whether they add in some ships to make other fleets better, or if they are going to, just put in a whole new fleet with new ships. But this is the list, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. I know it's kind of shocking that, I think Mace Windu in the last spot. My Resistance, some people will say Holdo is better than this. I just think that fleet really isn't that good. You rarely see it in any other capacity as a cleanup fleet. Tarkin there just, I think, loses a lot of value because we're really only going to get use out of him with the Empire. And so, comparative to the Chimera that can host a variety of ships. First Order Rebels, I think you could make a case that you could flip-flop these, but I really think that the Rebel, that under Akbar, there's just a level that the First Order fleet simply can't hit. Again, Thrawn just being a step higher than them. Again, just for the sole versatility of being able to put any ships with him and them being good. Then again, we've got our Negotiator, Malevolence. I think you could debate these third and fourth spots all day. I just personally think, again, that somehow Grievous counters everything, so he needs to be in that third spot. And then Executor and Profundity very solidly in their first and second positions, respectively. But let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys are still watching right now, again, we're going to go in and put our favorite thing in the comments. Wampa is king. Please subscribe to this channel. If you haven't, guys, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.